Welcome to this episode of the GymInformer podcast. I'm Chris Gilbert, your host for this episode. And today our guest is Kelly Mattfeld, the owner of the brand new Powerhouse Gym in Laurel, Maryland. I got a chance to work out there just last week. So I'm excited that we got Kelly on so quickly. It's great to talk to brand new gym owners. It's great to talk to veterans. Kelly's a veteran like myself. So super excited. But before we get to talk to Kelly about the gym, let me show you the photos of the gym I took. Let me show you the photos I took of the gym while I was there. Kelly, so before we start talking about the gym, can you give us a little bit of background about what was your path and how did you become a gym owner?
Oh, wow. So I've done government service since I was 19 years old, right? So I'm prior military. I stayed in that career field. I got my electrical engineering degree. And then I decided through amount of time that I wanted to do something else that was more health related. I had gained a bunch of weight. I commuted back and forth. I had a long commute. I commuted from Pennsylvania all the way down to Fort Meade every day.
Wow.
And so I decided once I moved back to this area and I got a personal trainer that I was like, I'm going to go for my personal training cert. So I've been a certified personal trainer for over 7 years. And I decided that I like doing that more than I like doing my desk job. I decided it's been a 3-year long journey to open this up. So I made the decision to just go ahead and go for it and try to attempt to make this my full-time job down the line.
Okay, cool. So you're still currently working as an engineer?
Yes.
And just for everyone's information, you're a Navy veteran, right?
Correct.
So I just wanted to get that out there that she did choose the good service. So
yeah, that's right. Go Navy, beat Army.
Yes, go Navy. So that's super cool. So you're still so the gym's brand new. You're still doing both things. That's one of the things when I talk to gym owners, they always recommend don't give up that secondary income so you can put everything back into the gym for at least a couple of years. So it's awesome that I know it's got to be super hard, but it's at the same time awesome that that's the way you started. So I guess we'll just get into talking about the gym.
Okay.
It is right now a Gary Jones special. For anybody who doesn't know Gary Jones is the creator of Hammer Strength, and this is a Hammer Strength gym. So what was your thought process and why did you decide that Hammer Strength was, we've already talked that it's not going to be the only equipment in the gym a year from now, but for right now, that's where you started. What was your thought process in going, okay, this is going to be a Hammer Strength gym out of the gate?
So actually right out the gate that I was looking at multiple vendors, but we had to do all construction here. So, in order to coordinate the painting to be done, for the flooring to go in, the flooring had to be done before the vendors had to come in and install the equipment. It was just a lot to handle and it was very overwhelming. So going through with the SBA loan and trying to get all the quotes, even just going through the quotes and trying to line up these pieces of equipment from these vendors, it was just a lot of a hassle. Sorry, my lights just went out. And I decided that it would just be easier. And I chose to go Hammer Strength because I felt like it was, I don't want to say the most common, but the most heavily reliable path to go forward and try, instead of trying to mix and match a bunch of vendors. It was just easier to pick one. I like a lot of the hammer strength, particularly the plate loaded ISO equipment. So that is primarily why I went down that line. I was looking for more plate loaded equipment than selectorized. I like plate loaded better. That's my personal preference. So that's kind of the reason why I decided to go with hammer strength.
Yeah, I was impressed. Like, you really, for the amount of pieces that you have in the gym, you have very few like selectorized pieces compared to the to the plate loaded. Like, the gym is almost like completely plate loaded equipment,
Correct.
which is pretty cool, and you don't see that very often in a brand new gym.
Correct.
So, and that was just personal preference, or is that the audience that you're going for? Or?
So it is the audience that I'm going for. I wanted it to be a primarily focused weightlifting gym, but to have the nicety of some perks that you might get in like a commercial gym, such as like saunas, tanning beds, and those type of things, additional services to be added later down the line. Of course, I don't have those today. But that was really the feel that I was going for, is that I wanted it to be a heavy duty weightlifters gym.
Okay, cool. And is that why you decided to partner with Powerhouse?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because I've been to probably a half a dozen Powerhouse gyms, and they're all pretty hardcore.
Yep.
So somebody told me that you had previously worked out at the Powerhouse in Hanover.
That is correct.
So, and that is a pretty hardcore gym.
Yes.
So is that the direction that you're, because right now, from an atmosphere standpoint, the gym is still really developing. For anybody who doesn't already know, like, the gym's only been open, what, 2 months?
Yes, we open on February 5th.
Okay, yeah, so the gym's been open for 3 months now.
Yep.
So the atmosphere is still developing. I could tell when I was there that even the culture is still developing. Like, the members are still they're still feeling each other out. They're still checking out, like, who's who, and like, it's still like super new. So from an atmosphere standpoint, is that the direction you're going? You want to have more of a hardcore gym, or do you want to have like more of a like kind of a hybrid, like kind of just a little bit of new school, a little bit of old school, a little bit of like super inviting, or what direction are you going?
So I would like it to be super inviting, but I want the equipment to be like true standard, like weightlifting equipment. So I guess I'm looking more for like hybrid. Like, there's a reason why I put the cardio equipment at the beginning and the heavier equipment back towards the back of the gym. So that way it does have the inviting feel. I do have a fitness studio at the beginning of the gym. To give a little bit of a mix. It is just not straight a lifting gym, because that would just be like one, but like I would just narrow myself down to one like particular subset of interest. So I would like it to be overall inviting, but I did want it to make sure that it wasn't just like a Planet Fitness or another gym that's like that.
Right. Yeah. And I haven't been to maybe except one other Powerhouse gym that even offers group fitness.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's kind of a unique thing for Powerhouses, and you probably already have more cardio equipment than most Powerhouse gyms I've been to. So
yeah,
it's a good start. So, and the gym's huge. Like, I was impressed that you were looking at that space and going, okay, this is where I want to start. What was it about that space you're like, this is the spot for me? Because it's what, 22,000 square feet?
Yeah, it's a little bit slightly below that.
Okay.
But it is pretty close to 22,000 square feet. I think just my primary home gym was Powerhouse Gym in Hanover. So just the fact that that was like 10,000 square foot, I was like, oh, like that's a great space. But I had already, I guess, determined in my head that if I was going to do this, I would want some space reserved off for fitness centers, and then as well as like space to grow. So starting right off the bat, I was looking at 20 to 25,000 square foot. Because I feel like most of the gyms in this particular area, except for the commercial gyms, are all about 10,000 square foot or smaller.
Yeah. Actually, we actually live, because I live not far from you. We live in a really cool area for gyms. So there's some really cool gyms around here. And I'm sure that within the year, yours is going to be one of those. Like, you've already got a great start. And as I walked around, I was impressed at how much extra space there was. Like,
Yes.
you've got plenty of room to grow and plenty of room to add lots of cool equipment without crowding the gym.
Correct.
So we talked about so I noticed that you had on your Instagram, you've got a guy doing some murals.
Yes.
And is he a local guy? What are you doing, multiple murals or like?
So we're doing multiple. He pretty much finished the one in the Ravens or the Purple Room, whichever way you want to call it. He's currently working on finishing up the one in the Orange Room, or we could call it the Orioles Room. And then he is doing a mural at the end of the turf with incorporating the Maryland state flag into the Powerhouse logo. So.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
So putting the logo all over the place.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
The reason why I think that I went with murals besides some other method is I have a lot of cinder block wall space here. And the vinyl just doesn't have a tendency to stick to the cinder block wall very well.
Yeah, that is challenging unless you get like very specific installation and very specific vinyl.
Yep.
So you have to be very careful about who you get to do it and what material they're using. So
correct.
And not everybody knows how to do that. So that's super cool. I'm sure that just adding those will increase the atmosphere a lot. You've gotten like to this point, you're a couple months in. I'm assuming that you've already got a game plan for the next step and the next step and the next step.
Yep. I'm getting there.
Can you share a little bit of that with us?
Yeah. So the first thing that I want to add is the 24/7 access. I think that our holdup has been trying to find an electrician, but I'm hoping that will run out. We'll be able to roll out within the next couple of months. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because I told everybody springtime and it's springtime. So I have until June before it's summer, right? The next thing that I would probably add is the saunas. I do have spaces saved out, 10 by 10 spaces in both the women's and the men's locker rooms to add in commercial saunas, red light. And then after that, I think by that point, my memberships would have grown enough by the time I can afford that to really start considering what additional equipment that I want to add in. I know right off the bat, the first thing that I will need is like additional cable pulleys because I only have like one jungle. I might not go with the full 8-bay jungle a second time, but definitely an additional set of cable pulleys. Add in a couple more pieces of leg equipment, but I think the next big group of equipment that I want to focus on is back equipment. And then the other thing that I was thinking about doing was getting the rigs to go down one of the walls, probably by the turf near the locker rooms. So then that way people can do TRX, might get a heavy bag or two as well to add into that area. And then I do want to expand out to have additional features depending on demand, whether that be massage beds or tanning beds, or just even getting like an in-house massage specialist to come in and do massages or stretch and those type of things.
Okay. So you're trying to be like an all-encompassing one-stop shop for everyone.
Yes.
If you got to be able to do everything you want to do.
Correct.
So super cool. And that's not something you see very often in a powerhouse gym. So super cool. So you've kind of just gotten started, but one of the things we always like to ask, well, actually, let me start with this one first. You're a couple months in and like we talked about what you're doing and what you're doing well. Oh, before I get to that, really impressed with how you organize the gym.
Oh, thank you.
I don't go to a lot of gyms that are that well organized as far as like by body part. Is that just from personal choice? Is that like you saw that at other gyms and you liked it, or like?
So that was my personal preference, was to group things by body part. And as we expand, I think that may not be as mainly organized as probably as that I want to do, because of where I determined to place the turf. So it might spread things a little bit apart, because I might end up, probably most likely, if I need to expand for equipment, is move the selectorized equipment to another area. So then it will be slightly disjointed, but I might also expand out, if I do decide to do that, expand out some of the selectorized equipment. As you stated before, I don't have a lot of selectorized pieces to begin with. So,
Yeah, and I don't think that a really good like bodybuilding gym needs tons of selectorized equipment. I think it's a luxury, and in your area, it's a younger vibe area. It's not necessarily an older crowd in that area. I don't think. I think it's a fairly young crowd. So most of your customer base is probably fairly young.
Correct.
At least when I was there, it was a pretty young crowd that day.
Yep.
So the other question I wanted to ask you was, I know that you're only a couple months in, but I'm assuming that you've probably already realized that like these are some things I wish I was doing better. We talked about a lot of things that you're doing well. Are there some things as an owner you're like, these are some things that we need to do better?
I'm gonna say yes. I would have, I guess, probably started enforcing certain rules probably from the beginning. I know some people are a little bit upset because I just implemented a ban on tripods during certain hours. The reason why I didn't do that at the beginning was because I didn't know what our busiest times were going to be. So it is strictly during like our busiest times right now. I wish that I could have rolled out, if I knew it was going to be this much of a hassle to find an electrician to add in the electrical to do the 24/7 access, I probably would have did that from the jump. And then the other part is, which I don't really have any control, wish that the front of the building would have been completed as well, because I do feel like a lot of people pull up and they're not 100% sure that I'm open because of the front of the building still under construction.
Yeah, I pulled up and I was like, okay.
Yeah. That's the landlord's responsibility. I can't make them do that any faster.
Yeah. Did they have a time on that one?
So they have the permits and everything all approved. I guess that they changed out some of the materials because some of the materials were long lead items. So I'm waiting for them to get back to make sure that they got all the materials that would be in a shorter time frame, and then they'll be able to give me a better time frame as to how much longer that it would be. But they said other than just the ordering of the materials, they're pretty much ready to start. So I know that when I talked to them before, they said depending on the weather, it could be 3 to 4 months before they're complete. So hopefully by the end of summer, that will all be done and my lighted sign will be up, and then it will be easier for people to tell that we're open and that can see it better from the shopping center as well.
Yeah, and it'd be like a whole new spot from the outside anyway.
Correct.
What did it used to be?
It started out, I believe, as Corridor Liquors. I think somebody told me it was something that before then. Then Corridor Liquors got bought out and they moved down or they switched to Total Wine, and then they moved down further in the shopping center. And then it was pretty much vacant from that time that Total Wine moved down the shopping center, except for Spirit Halloween.
Okay. Yeah, Spirit likes to come in and out of all kinds of vacant places.
Yep.
Okay, so cool. And that was pretty much the only question I had left for you. Was we always ask gym owners at the end, I know you're fresh in, but I'm sure that you've learned a ton already. Is there any advice that you would give to someone who's like still thinking about opening a gym or just wants to open a gym in the future?
I would say don't be discouraged if your lease negotiations fall through or your SBA loan falls through. I'm a firm believer that if it's meant to be, it will happen. I feel like I took a lot of gut punches throughout those 3 years of trying to get started. But it was hard because there was sometimes that I wanted to be like, maybe I shouldn't go through with this. But I would say definitely keep going. You're going to hit a lot of road bumps along the way. And the construction process is a difficult one to navigate, but you'll make it through it. So just remember, if that's really what you want to do and that's what you want to put your heart into, like, don't give up on that dream.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Did you look at multiple spaces before you actually got to this one?
I did. I did. My overall goal, and I wasn't actually even looking in the Laurel area, my overall goal was to open multiple ones, and I wanted to do it around the Beltway. So I looked at places in White Marsh, Towson, Owings Mills, Catonsville. I wasn't even like focusing in the Laurel area. But I guess in a way, with the bridge collapse and everything else, I'm glad that I'm not commuting all the way to that side. Yeah, I guess everything works out for a reason.
Yeah, and if you decide to go with another one, that I know just from experience, like that northwest side of Baltimore is kind of a blank slate.
Yep.
There is barely any locally owned gyms up in that area at all.
Yep.
So it's a wide open spot. I know there's a couple of commercial gyms, but we don't like those. So.
Yeah, I get it.
So I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for your time, and keep us posted when maybe in a year when the gym's like way further down your vision, like let us know and we'll come back and we'll redo everything.
All right. Sounds great.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more great content.